Oh, let me turn this down a little. Okay, so this one, it might be a short one. I don't know. I don't ever know with these. What do you mean? What kind of question is that? So this one is going to be about it's another character motivation one. This will be in that character creation playlist that I add to sometimes. So this one specifically is about character motivations, and something I like to do with my characters is kind of plan out their arc. Like, where I intend for the character to grow over the course of a campaign. That's all wrapped up in the backstory I make for the character, who they are initially, the conflicts that they're likely going to deal with, the personal biases that they have. And as always, these are never things that I iron out like instantaneously. It's usually, I've got the rough backstory, and then a few sessions in, I kind of figure out who they are, blah, blah, blah. But, for example, that Goblin Wizard that I'm playing in our Shadow of the Dragon Queen pickup game. So it happens every other week at the most. Like, that's at the most it happens. It's just, like, that game happens whenever we have time. Whenever everybody can make it, basically. But in that game, playing Goblin Wizard, and initially just like, okay, he's just like a wizard guy, and he learned his magic from the shit he found in this tower, so he kind of, he's self-taught in that way, even though he found a bunch of resources. And I figured, okay, he's, I don't know, pretty practical, and he wants to learn more about magic. But then as I've been playing the character, the plight of goblin kind kept coming up, so I made a woke goblin. So, yeah, the point is, you kind of find who these characters are. At least that's how I tend to do it. But to circle back, that wasn't the initial idea for that character. I had to find it. But for any character, I do like to kind of plan out their arc and where I intend them to go. And almost always that gets derailed somehow because, we can't know exactly what the DM is going to do. We can't know what the other characters are going to do. We don't know what the dice is going to do. So, for the main example of this kind of concept? Yeah, it's concept. Language. English is important, kids. I gotta watch that dog, make sure it doesn't run out on the road. So, my Curse of Strahd character, Senlir. He is a, class-wise, I've talked about him a lot. He's a barbarian, executioner of the Raven Queen, blah, blah, blah. Pretty resigned to whatever fate brings him. He's never really worried about much. Like, whatever happens, basically. That's his kind of philosophy. But I intended for his arc to be much more about, him figuring out his own agency and what he wants in life. That kind of thing. How to be his own master instead of just listen to the Raven Queen. Even though that's not exactly what he's doing. But, have a little more agency and investment in his own future. That is not how the game went. For a while in the game, it wasn't that the character didn't have much opportunity to express himself or anything, or it's not that. No, that's true. So for a while in that game, we were just kind of running around doing, not putting out fires, but things were just dropping in front of us and happening to us, and there are all these very powerful entities everywhere that we have to either run away from or make deals with to survive. It was just constant, to the point where Senlir started making jokes about it, oh look, another extremely ancient entity that needs us to make a deal, otherwise they're going to squash us like a bug. Of course, what is your name? Something like that. Like, over and over and over again, that kept happening in the game. So, that's what his fate was bringing him. But towards the, like, I'm going to say the closing act of the campaign, this thing happened where each character was pulled into like a nightmare dimension where they were just confronted with, well, nightmares, like personalized torture visions, basically. And for Senlir, he was constantly confronted with this idea that he's wasted time trying to protect the people of Barovia and like help quote normal people instead of doing his real job, which is just to kill Strahd and destroy this place. That's his real mission. And he struggled with it for a while, but then especially once, like, he kind of struggled with that idea, especially because then this torture vision then locked him into a blizzard in isolation for 80 years. So that's a whole other bit of trauma he's got to unpack. But he struggled with this idea for a little bit. Like, it wasn't weighing on him too much, but it was in the back of his mind. And then we finally get to Strahd's castle, and we get in, and we're making our way through, and then Strahd informs us, like, Strahd shows up as a hologram. And he's like, oh, hey, just so you know, the two NPCs from your backstory, your brother and sister, they came in looking for you, and I captured them. Your brother betrayed you and your sister. He now works for me. And I will kill your sister in such a way that she cannot be resurrected unless you leave. Unless you go away. And if you do that, then I'll let your sister go and she can join you. And that kind of hit him a little hard, but he's like, suddenly rationalized it. Like, like his sister, Cleo, she knows like what his purpose is, or at least that he has some purpose in here. And to just like come in, mess with stuff, and then leave, that would not be it. Senlir's purpose is more or less to kill Strahd and end this place. That is Senlir's purpose, and the way the whole campaign is going now, probably to set in motion all the shit with Dendar the Nightmare Serpent, which is most likely the big endgame thing that we're doing. But that aside, like, Senlir rationalized that, Cleo knows the mission, we could die at any time, this changes nothing. Then we push on forward, we go in, like, up another floor, we have this fight with a bunch of monsters, and then Strahd's servant shows up, throws Cleo's head at his feet, she's been zombified, so now she can't be resurrected, blah, blah, blah. That hits Senlir kind of hard now, because, okay, he can't, like, that was the start of it, he can't protect, like, he shouldn't be protecting the little folk, he can't protect his sister, and then, as we move forward, like, he's still resolute. Moving forward, we have the Strahd fight. One of the characters sacrifices themselves to destroy the homebrewed version of the Heart of Sorrow. Instead it's the Heart of Strahd, it's keeping him alive. Which, if you know the module, cool. If you don't worry about it. It was this extra thing we had to, kill that was in the fight. And it was just, soaking up damage for Strahd, and we had to kill that first, basically. And the one PC had to destroy themselves in order to fully destroy it, and that's the whole thing I won't get into. But that character isn't as relevant. He was always supposed to die, but after that fight was still, we just have to kill Strahd, and our little goblin druid ends up dying, even though Senlir is right there, and he actually tried to bring him back up. He used his healing hands. He's trying to kill Strahd as best he can, and he still dies. And then he uses this little coffin nail we got a while ago. That's like, it's basically an item of Revivify, and he uses it, and oh, oops, it's cursed. Skeleton, like, time freezes, a skeleton pops out and is like, hey, your friend can come back, but you have to go in his place. If not, his soul is going to be trapped in this nail until the next time it gets used, and then his soul will be able to go on to the afterlife once it gets used by somebody else. I'm like, okay. And if Senlir had done that, sacrificed himself to bring Unta back at 1 HP, Etzli would not, our third party member, would not have been able to kill Strahd on their own, I don't think. Ooh, lightning. So Senlir had to make a difficult decision. He has to survive, even though those he wants to bring back those he cares about, but he can't protect them. So now that is his big kind of arc. That's what's going on for him. That's his character development. Like, we kill Strahd, we get out of Barovia, we say our goodbyes to that PC that killed themselves, or sacrificed themselves, rather, not killed themselves. Come on. Learn how traffic works. It's not hard. I say our goodbyes to him, and now Senlir has Unta, the Goblin Druid, his soul in a little nail, and we have to venture over to Pandemonium to find the guy that made the nail, and they're like, how do we destroy this and get the soul out? Like, oh, okay. Like, and so that's going to be a whole fucking thing now. But the point is, that was a character arc and character development I never intended for this character. He is now very sure that his only purpose in life is that of a destroyer. All he does is kill. And if he's not good enough at killing, 1, he fails, and 2, the people that he does care about and would want to protect, then they're going to die anyway. Kids in the road, yeah, then they're going to die anyway if he's not good enough at killing things. So that's kind of his big motivation. And in this next session, or the next session that we had, when he started realizing all of this, we met up with that the Goblin Druid, the player of the Goblin Druid, his replacement character, and as another goblin from that same goblin tribe, clan? Troop? I like Goblin Troop. That same Goblin Troop, who's a different character, but so Senlir has this kind of connection back to Unta now, but still, it's that he's a destroyer, he's not a protector, and that is a big thing for him. That's like the main thing he's grappling with, and that is, simply put, not what I intentioned for his character arc, and that is fantastic. That's what I'm looking for. And in D&D, or any TTRPG, TTRPG, any games like this where you make a character and you roleplay them, that's what you're looking for. Like, you can plan your character's development till the cows come home, but you gotta play the game and see what happens and who these characters are. That's the game. That's it. That's the thing. That's what you're here for. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to say on this subject. Peace.